up, guys, and welcome to the Quick Diz Takes podcast, episode 43, where we discuss the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular as the second attraction in our ongoing attraction series. If you missed it last week, we covered the more exciting dinosaur attraction, and this week we move on to kind of an interesting one, with it just being a show as opposed to a ride. And so we will do the best we can with talking this one through and going over it. So for those who don't know, it's an attraction in Hollywood Studios based on the Indiana Jones franchise, and it is a stunt show as advertised in the name. So I'll start with asking Johnny what his humble opinion is on this particular attraction.
I think it's okay. It's not my favorite. I mean, for what it is, it's cool, but this is in a desperate need of an update because I'm pretty sure it's the same show I've seen every single time I've actually been to it.
Yes.
Besides, the little like visual updates things they do, but I mean, other than that, it's basically the same show, and the fact that that the guy that plays Indiana Jones, and they continue to say he was Harrison Ford's stunt double, considering how long ago they've filmed Indiana Jones. I would say he'd probably be older than he is. So I mean, just overall, it's good for what it is, I think.
Yeah.
But just in need of an update.
Yeah, it needs an update. I'll show you, show my age here. I was at the park the first year it was out, and that was September of 1989. It was at the time when the park opened. I don't think it opened exactly with the park, but that was the year the park opened and I was there. And there was very few things to do. You had the back lot tour, you had a great movie ride, and basically the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. So at the time, the back lot tour, I believe, was like 4 hours long or 3 hours long or something like that. But yeah, so it hasn't changed much since then. I mean, I've gone to it through the years, over X amount of time, through those years up until now, and as recently as the trip before my last. And it's good. Like, it's not bad. It still holds up in a lot of ways. I mean, it's cool to see, but it hasn't, like you said, there are some updates needed, some prop updates, things like some of the shticks need to be updated, like with the plant in the audience. I'm sorry,
yeah.
And just little things like that. They've been doing the same thing, the same kind of shtick for essentially.
Yeah, I mean, they have.
Years.
I mean, I know the last movie wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but they have four. I mean, they only really base it on that one movie. They do have three other movies. Even if they just did, everybody likes to see the big boulder rolling. So you keep something like that, but then you could update the other scenes to something from another movie, a different movie, just to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm going to assume the set pieces are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, once you train for a show like that, I guess you don't really want to change. I mean, you got it down pat. I guess you don't want to change too much when it comes to that. Disney gets sometimes with that kind of thing. So, I don't know. I guess that's that. But, it just, once again, going back to, and excuse me, my volume on my headphones drive me crazy. Going back to Disney, sometimes wanting to, there we go. That's so much better. Sometimes wanting to cheap out when they can. And let's face it, it stood relevant enough. It probably always drew a crowd, at least a reasonable crowd, or it wouldn't be there. And it is set in a kind of a permanent theater. And up until recently, there wasn't enough stuff to do in Hollywood Studios, really. If you, didn't have a show in that theater. Now, granted, they could have replaced it, but I mean, Indiana Jones is an exciting property, and they had their hands, they had the rights to it and stuff to use it, so it made sense. And still
Yeah,
made
I mean, for that size of that park, it was definitely a people eater, which is, I mean, in a perfect world, it would be open. It'd be nice for it to be open right now in the, with the distancing of people, so it makes it seem busy. At least I've put people in there to make the park seem a little, less empty, where people are complaining, are saying that Hollywood Studios seems to be the busiest park nowadays.
makes sense.
With Star Wars open, so.
Yeah.
But again, you can't have, trying to keep the actors, I guess, away from each other.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to be closed right now, but.
Yeah, they're keeping the actors away from each other. They're saving money by not paying the actors. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, I guess we'll go over briefly. I mean, for anyone that hasn't seen the show, it's basically done. So it starts off, and you're not really sure what's going on at first. So it almost makes it seem like you're just watching it happen. You're going to be kind of like watching the show, like watching it as almost as a perspective from like someone that's watching a movie and watching the movie happen. And so he goes through the whole shtick. It's like the opening scene from Raiders. He weighs the bag out with the sand, drops it down, grabs the idol, a ball comes after him, he dodges some spikes, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, it's like cut. It's kind of like the big surprise, and all of a sudden, like here come the directors, and now what the real perspective you have is that you're watching it actually be filmed. I even believe there's a big camera out there, isn't there? Kind of make it seem like it's being filmed. Don't quote me on that.
I know I think there was at one point, if there isn't still, but
yeah.
I want to say I remember something like that.
I think there was, but whatever. And they're like cut, and they start explaining each scene before they happen, and then they play through the scene, and it's neat. You get to see how they do different things and how they film a movie, basically. So in that regard, it's cool. I mean, it would be cool. Like the idea is good and solid. Either they upgrade it or pick a newer movie to do the same kind of idea thing would be cool. Because I don't think the idea is worn itself out. I just think anything that's gone on for 30 years, especially shows. I mean, how many shows do you know are in Disney's field, but how many really last 30 years?
Yeah.
I mean, Country Bear, I guess.
Yeah.
Carousel Progress, but I mean, it's not common. And I guess the only way to really keep the conversation going on this, because it's kind of an odd thing to talk about, is like, how does it compare to other shows? I mean, is it still the best show in Hollywood studios? Maybe.
Probably.
Depending on what you like. I mean,
I would say besides Fantasmic, it's probably the best. You got Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and Frozen Sing-Along, I believe. Is that the only shows in? I don't think there's any other shows, so it's probably the best show.
I mean, other than the Star Wars one, I don't even think they do it anymore, but they were doing a Star Wars one.
Oh, yeah.
A couple hours. That was kind of neat, but.
Yeah, I think they stopped that when they opened the
Galaxy's Edge.
Railway, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a little stage show in Galaxy's Edge with a First Order thing, but it's nothing special.
Yeah. And so, I guess the theme of this whole discussion and what I'm thinking about is that Hollywood Studios has a lot of outdated shows. Because The Little Mermaid's so outdated. Beauty and the Beast is outdated.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast gets away with it though, because you don't have to do much to make Beauty and the Beast look good. But I guess when I say outdated, I mean as in regards to like what they can do in a show now versus what they're doing. Little Mermaid is blacklight puppets, very similar to like Finding Nemo.
Yeah, I mean they have the lasers, the nice 80s lasers.
So they're outdated too, and that's a whole other issue with these with these shows is like there's so many things to be that need a little, attention. But it's difficult to get them all spruced up, especially when you're building $1 billion lands like Galaxy's Edge, and even even and then taking on Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge, and just renewing a lot of the rides all over that resort. So I guess it is what it is. I don't know. I'm actually lost for words at what to really add about Indiana Jones. I mean, to reiterate, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, for the foreseeable future, I don't think that I don't think it's going to get upgraded with the fact that they've put Toy Story and Galaxy's Edge. It's just not. That's going to be, maybe that'll be the next rotation of upgrades when they, loop back around to Hollywood Studios for stuff. But I mean, I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
No.
Especially, once everything starts opening again, and it'll open back up and everything, and it'll keep its crowds. I mean, the only value of like a valuable, this is the amount of space that it takes up, where they seem like value in the space of could they add, what could they add? They could add a small land there, or a bigger a big attraction of like a newer it's like a flight of passage type attraction, like newer
technology.
Technology, that's the word. Newer technology type ride, but I don't know. I don't see anything there for years.
There have been rumors that that's what's going to happen over there. And then, I always wonder, there's places for expansion in Galaxy's Edge and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But and I guess because the tunnel leads into Galaxy's Edge from where the new microbrewery is and all that stuff. But it always makes me wonder, if all you would have to really do is get rid of Indiana Jones, and Galaxy's Edge could pour out all the way out there if they wanted to, down the road,
Yeah.
But I don't know, where they plan on ending, how much, how long is that gonna go on for? How much Galaxy's Edge are we gonna get? I mean, I'm assuming at least one more ride down the road somewhere. But is that it? You just stop there?
And at least some sort of sit-down restaurant.
And then exactly. And then with Star Tours being where it is, and I'm not sure are they going to get rid of it? Or is it just going to kind of be, it's weird to be outlying?
Yeah, it's definitely the Star Wars whole thing in there is strange, because it's you got Galaxy's Edge, and you got Star Tours on that side, and then you got Launch Bay. The other, it's kind of it's all spread out over the park where.
Launch Bay's gone now, though, right? I think.
As of when I was there, it was still there, but it was just a relaxation zone.
Yeah, so I think.
But everything was still in there, and the gift shop wasn't open, but everything was still there. They weren't doing anything with it, but.
Yeah, I'm going to assume
it'd be nice for them to get rid of that and throw it back to an animation type thing, but.
Oh, they're not going to do that.
And I know, but it would be nice.
Yeah, that's going to get a mini land at some point, I think. And you've heard Monsters Inc. and all those. Who knows? But it's going to get something like that. Because they now Hollywood Studios is a draw. So a couple more decent things put in there. You're gonna have a real solid park.
Oh yeah.
And I think that even with Star Wars, I talk about the tunnel, you could so easily just tweak a couple things over there and make that land expand right out of that tunnel if you wanted to. You get rid of a brewery, you get rid of what's over there. And you kind of leak it out to Star Tours, and then.
Yeah, you still got Muppet Vision and that little Muppet courtyard there.
How long is that? I heard they might be making a new movie for that or whatever, but really, much of a shelf life does that have left too? And I don't think they're getting really getting their return back on the Muppets like they thought they were going to get.
Yeah, but then I don't think they're helping themselves out too much with that too. They're kind of.
No one's actually like. Remember when they did like the Muppets? It was like a kind of like an office style Muppet show. Like
Oh yeah, I actually
that was
I know
pretty
it only
good.
lasted the season. I liked that show. I used to watch it. You know, I'd watch that every week.
Yeah, it gave me a good laugh, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's I guess it just didn't work because you're going to draw a certain age group, and it, like my daughter's age group wasn't hitting them, you know. So they really haven't really found their way. I mean, I know the first Muppet movie was fairly successful, but that was kind of like a nostalgia thing, right? The Muppets
hmm
movie comes out, it's been a while. They're going to make a second one. I'm not sure how well that one really did, but that's been kaput since then.
yeah.
So
I mean, the only thing going for the Muppet Babies is kind of that was a big deal
okay,
for my kids when that came back out. But I mean,
that makes sense. I mean, it's nothing crazy though. And then
no, it's a
Muppet,
nice introduction for the kids. But yeah,
yeah, Muppets now is not anything like the brilliance of the Muppets back in the day. I think was like how you could sit down with your kids and everyone could have a laugh because it was like it towed that fine line of like a Saturday
hmm
Night Live style show and
yeah,
had like it just worked. And Disney hasn't seemed to find anything that really works with the Muppets almost since they've gotten them. You know, minus Muppet Christmas Carol, that was awesome. But
yeah.
think about I'm talking in terms of part. My Muppet Vision 3D was awesome at its
hmm
day. Not that it's bad, but that one, I mean, if the door is shut and you started watching that in the middle of the movie, it stopped and they were like, you went into a time machine, it was 1994 again, you wouldn't,
Yeah.
it's believable.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think with that, I don't, since it was Jim Henson's last thing he touched, I think that's what's kind of keeping it alive at this moment. It's
Yeah,
the end of his,
and I love Jim Henson, but let's face it, like, the man, he died 30 years ago. And I mean, Walt died, 60 years ago, but it's just two different things. I don't know, like Walt left behind a legacy much greater than Jim Henson did in a way.
yeah.
And
Well,
I'm not really
and then
sure. Yeah.
I was going to say that there's your comparison too. We can bring it back to Indiana Jones. You got Muppet Vision, which has basically been around probably just about the same time in the history of the park, and Indiana Jones definitely does. I mean, I like the Muppets, but I think the more popular thing would be the Indiana Jones and Muppet Vision. So I guess it proves that it, still should be around.
Yeah. Either
Bring it
that
back.
or another idea that I would be completely fine with is clear out the Indiana Jones show, clear out the Muppet show, clear out Star Tours, and make that area of the park Indiana Jones land. And it's like boom, boom, like two George Lucas properties side by side.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would ever happen. I mean, they talked about doing that. We talked about that last week in Dinosaur.
hmm
I think everyone feels like there's like more Indiana Jones to come, but I don't know if that's the case because Indiana Jones is another weird one. Like people love it and stuff, but does it carry a land? And the
Yeah.
only
I mean, yeah. Like you say, I mean, at this point, Indiana Jones. I mean, it's more nostalgia too for people because they didn't help themselves at all with that last movie to try to bring in
yeah,
a new younger audience. So it's probably people our generation and older who are still into the Indiana Jones.
exactly. And then I mean, is Disney is now just really starting to get into this like lands used to be lands. Like they were like it was a broad spectrum. Like okay, here's Fantasyland, and anything that we do that falls into fantasy can go into Fantasyland. Now it's like here's Star Wars land,
Yeah.
Toy Story land. Here's Rapunzel land, Tangled land. Not that but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that makes things all kind of difficult too because now you got to carry now you got to you got to draw out multiple attractions based on one property.
Instead of a genre. Yeah.
Which in Star Wars case is a no-brainer. I mean, it just lends to itself Toy Story is what Toy Story is. Toy Story to me is what it is. I don't even know if they'll ever get another attraction.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could ever see them doing is maybe once Midway Mania is kind of like run its course and got a little out, as the age, maybe they'll just cut that out and put something different there. But I can never see them. I don't even know if they have the room to ever even add anything in there.
No, I think they're supposedly putting out a little restaurant. I think that's their little extra space.
Yeah, so that is what it is. I don't know. Disney throws around money too, so when time comes, they might just say, "Yeah, next," and just. Well, the other thing they do is retheme things, which I can't stand a lot of times. But yeah, so I guess the moral of this discussion is that Indiana Jones kind of speaks to the theme of what happened with Hollywood studios up until recently, where things just stood there forever. If you think about Hollywood studios, as a matter of fact, things just did stay there forever. I mean, up until let's like rewind back to like 2010. I could actually 2000. We'll say 2010. I couldn't even say 2015 really, but whatever. And you got Indiana Jones, The Muppets, which are both still there. Great movie ride. Like those are things that were there forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did the backlot tour end? I don't even remember. It slowly got smaller as time went on, but
yeah, and then it was right before. Well, I'm sure it was there. When was it there in 2000? First time we went with the kids was 2015. Was it? How long did it take them to build? How many years was Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? Because that's when they stopped it. So probably 4 or 5 years ago at least.
I thought didn't they stop it for Lights, Camera, Action or whatever? Or
Lights, Camera, Action I know was still there in 2015 because.
Yeah, definitely was.
They were excited. The kid, well, my old John he was into cars, so he was excited to see because Lightning McQueen was still in the show. And James was still a little baby still.
But did that coexist with the backlot tour?
I don't know. I don't think it was there when we were there on that, because that was our first trip since our honeymoon, and that was in 2010. So I don't think it was there in 2015.
Well, you know what?
Well, I mean, we have all this technology right at our fingertips. We could just.
It just dawned on me, so I'm gonna pull that up.
But I don't think because that was backlot tour was always a must do, and I don't think I remember riding it then. Because that was 2015 was the last year of
it closed.
Great movie ride, I believe.
It closed. No, 2017 was.
2000. Okay, it was that trip then. That's the next trip we were on. Okay, so we were there too.
So September 27th, 2014.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Close enough.
Yeah.
And so, point being is a lot of stuff. They didn't pay a ton of attention to that park. I mean, they did give it the Sunset Strip, Sunset Boulevard expansion somewhere in there. But that was kind of like the second phase expansion. So like 89 it opened. I think Sunset Boulevard was like 94-ish. So you got Tower of Terror like 94, 95, somewhere in there. And then, does that make sense? And then Rock and Roller Coaster around 98 or 99. You fact checking that right now?
We could, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Where is?
I think Tower of Terror was in that area.
Come on.
Yeah, 1994, July 22nd, 1994. So, yeah. So, in the first 5 years, you got a few things, a little thing here and there, but it's been kind of a park that just was there. I mean, and keep in mind, not even 10 years after that park opened, you're already going with Animal Kingdom and trying to get that going. So they took on a lot of, Eisner was really trying to expand. And I always wonder, I said it in my Eisner video, what would have happened if Euro Disney, now Disneyland Paris, had been successful and they didn't have to make budget cuts and they were going to do all the things that they were planning on doing? because they had some pretty ambitious plans.
Yep.
Like would Disney America, would that have gotten built? I would assume Westcott probably would have gotten built.
Yeah, I think you had a better shot with the Westcott than the
Well,
Disney, right?
yeah, Westcott was, I would say 100% going to get built if that didn't fail. I'm pretty sure they even announced that park in the papers with like the concept art to go along with it. So I'm pretty sure that was happening if that disaster overseas didn't happen first.
Yeah.
And who knows if Disney's America would have happened. I know that, I remember I was actually fortunate enough to be living in Virginia at the time. I remember that being in all the local papers when all the like, litigation and stuff was going on down there. And a lot of people didn't want it and stuff. But you can hate on Disney and stuff, people, but like they build their parks, they do a pretty good job, and they bring, they help the economy.
Yeah.
I don't know if a park based on American history would have like stuck. You know why I say that? Before you say what you're gonna say, because when we talked about how like they essentially have gone back to the Magic Kingdom model with every park they have now because they realized people just want to go to a park and like ride rides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if not only that, but 1990s was still far back enough for them to probably make a pretty politically incorrect amusement park that wouldn't have aged well.
Yeah. But I think that is the only place it could be successful, is in that. I mean, you got people already going to the Washington, D.C. area for the history of the country. So, I mean, yeah, they put, it out in, I don't know, Tennessee or Kentucky or somewhere in the Midwest type thing. I don't think it's only that real spot that it would have worked if it was going to be at all successful.
Yeah, I mean, the concept is interesting to me, as I love history. But I don't know. I guess I would have had to have seen it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, living up. I mean, I still like to go to up here, go to Plymouth Plantation, or go to like the old. You can go to Boston and see all the old stuff too. But that's that's for a certain kind of person too.
I think it would have been one of those things where you would have went and have been like, oh, here's the Lewis and Clark Expedition Rapid Ride, which I actually think was one of the things that might have been visualized. But anyway, and it would have been more like, well, there's that, but once you're on it, you're just riding a rapid ride. Like, you don't really care if you're Lewis and Clark or, whatever. So I don't know. But and like I would assume it would have been some kind of ride through history, dark ride thing. But like, how does the Hall of Presidents really hold up? I like it, but generally, I don't know the last time you went and saw the show was, when you see it, it's not really full.
No, ours isn't full. I mean, I'm pretty, halfway through the kids were, making noise to get out of there. So, and it was, that's an attraction that if they announced that went away, it would be, there wouldn't be, I don't think there would be a huge cry for, to keep it from people.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, but then again, Disney fans are weird. They like don't pay attention to it until like, wait a minute. Yeah, right. Like, yeah. I like that. I think it's cool what they did with that.
Yeah, the overall, that's definitely a cool one. The overall, you got 45 animatronics on a stage that act like they're moving and breathing.
The problem is, like, with that attraction now is that, like, everyone has their own political views, and that's fine. It's been since the history of time. But, like, people wear it way too much on their sleeves now. Like, okay, so Trump's the president. You like him, you don't. Whatever. So say you don't. He's up there giving a speech, and people are, like, booing us. It's like, like, he's the president, whatever. This is just a tradition now. Whoever's the president, whatever. They say their little thing, that's it. Yeah. But he can't hear you, people. It's an animal.
No.
I mean, just sit back, and it is what it is. They didn't write the script. He got elected president, so he's up there now. Biden will be up there next, and whoever else after him, and whatever. Yeah. It's. Here's an interesting concept, and Wait, no, actually, never mind. I was gonna say like, because the rumor of Trump running in 2024, I was gonna say, well, what if like he won again? How would they handle that there? But there's another president that did that, and he's already in
Yeah,
there. So they would just
yeah,
handle that, I
yeah.
guess.
Taft did it.
Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah,
Never mind.
they'd let he'd sit back for 4 years and then he'd come back out in front and give
I
another
guess.
speech. I guess that's what they do. I mean,
And
it wasn't.
I kind of like the idea of the current president having this the last thing there, because it's for the kids. It's good. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and he's your president one way or the other. Like I'm here, he's there, and I think like once again, because this president's more controversial than most. I don't think it's as much him as people think it is. I think this is just going to be the way we view presidents forever now because of social media and stuff. People are just going to wear their politics on their sleeve one way or the other.
yeah.
I just don't see a point. But
No.
that's neither here nor there. And I don't, whatever, float your boat.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So where were we going with this? Oh yeah. So so that's an attraction. Or the idea of these other parks getting built slowed down. I think a lot of Hollywood studios, or I should say MGM Studios progress at the time. And I mean, let's face it, it's not a huge lot of land either for that park.
No. No.
And then Animal Kingdom kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, to me, obviously they planned it, but they just decided to build that park. And even that park was so lost, for many years, up until recently. And we're still not quite there yet with that park.
No, I mean, it's just, Flight of Passage just one ride changed everything.
Shows you how little it had.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Indiana Jones, we agree, is good in conclusion here. And it's just not much. Is there anything, before we go, is there anything specific about the show, scene-wise, or anything they do in the show that you find that you'd miss, say if they got rid of it, or it kind of stuck in your mind as classic, or whatever you want to call it? See, that's what I mean.
No, I mean, I like the thing towards the end where the guy, where he's supposed to die in the propeller.
Yeah.
You see him drop down. That's kind of a cool, just being, seeing how they somewhat do things. And the first scene's always, I think that's probably the best part of the whole thing. That first, where he reenacts the whole thing is the coolest part. It's nice that he drops out of nowhere, kind of, if you're not expecting him to drop.
Yep.
Especially when he takes somebody for the first time, they don't know what's going on.
I was gonna say too, I guess when they both, him and when Indy and what's Karen Hill's what's the female lead's character? I can't think of it right now.
Oh, Marion Ravenwood?
Yes.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
So when Indy and Marion make the leap off the tall building.
Oh, yes, yeah.
The highlight of the show. Karen Allen, that was the name I was trying to think of the actress that played her. That's always cool. And there's one big explosion in there too. The whole scene in general, where they make that jump, and then the one guy falls through, there's a canopy he falls through. And
yes, yeah.
It's all, once again, it's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's about as age and as just okay as things at Disney that age and are just okay are.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the epitome of it. So I wonder if somebody had never been, if I just took someone, next time I'd never been there, what they feel about it. Maybe it would be good for a first timer. And I guess you got to keep that in mind, but I don't know. Though. You see other stuff though. Let's say you went to Galaxy's Edge first, and then you hit that on the way out. It just wouldn't be as awe-inspiring. And a lot of that happens in the park. Peter Pan's not awe-inspiring anymore, but people seem to.
Yeah, that one still gets me.
It perplexes me all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think we're gonna call it quits right here. We are gonna try to keep, we're gonna stay on this back on schedule here. I would tell you what next week's episode is going to be about, except for we let Sarah pick it, and she has not picked next week's episode. And we usually don't have her pick it until the middle of the week, so it will be a surprise every week. But same spiel. Please like, subscribe. Hope some people that we've kind of lost over the absent, we were absent a few months here would hope we get you guys back slowly, and hit us up on Twitter if you have any questions, or the comments below. Comments below, I think we prefer. I'm not sure how active Johnny is on Twitter these days. I know I'm not too much, but we'll try to get to you if you have anything to say, because interacting with you guys is the sort of the point of this. And yeah, take care, and we'll see you next week.